Hello, Esme. Today I'm going to start reading The Last Polar Bears by a man called Harry Horse, who is a man and not a horse. I won't get through all of it, but let's make a start and come back to it later. The Last Polar Bears. Actually, hold on. Let's travel to a more appropriate setting. Much better. The Last Polar Bears by Harry Horse. Friday the 4th of October, north of Aberdeen, on board the Unsinkable. Dear child, I am writing to let you know that Rue and I are well. I'm sorry that I was unable to say goodbye to you properly, and I hope that you can understand why I had to go on this expedition. I am going to the North Pole to find the last polar bears. I have to see them as they really are. I want to see them swimming amongst the icebergs and playing in the snow. You see, I remember going to the zoo one hot summer's afternoon and seeing my first polar bear. He was sitting in the shade of a dead tree. There was a small concrete pool for him to swim in. The water was green. I looked at the polar bear. There was no snow for him to roll in, no icebergs for him to float upon. That was no life for a polar bear. I could not save him. How could I? You could hardly smuggle a polar bear under your coat and walk out with him, can you? That day, I decided to go to the North Pole to see how the polar bears really live. I went to the library and I read everything I could find about polar bears, where they live, what they eat, and how to look for them in remote places. I studied many maps until one day in the British Museum, I found the map of Great Bear Ridge, and I knew then that that is where I would find the last polar bears. I began to plan an expedition. Your mother said I was too old to go off to the North Pole by myself, but all my life I have either been too old or too young to do what I wanted to do. So this time I decided that I would listen to no one. I booked my passage on the good ship Unsinkable. I decided, after a lot of thought, to take Rue with me. Huskies would be better, but I couldn't afford to feed them. Rue said that her particular breed were in fact better than huskies, but that no one had ever given them the chance to prove it. When I told her that our expedition was to the North Pole, she said she had heard of it and that one of her relations helped put it up. We sneaked out of the house one night whilst you were fast asleep. I didn't wake you, for you know I hate to say goodbye. I took your Uncle Freddie's golf trolley to use as our sledge. Tell him I only want it for a little while. Tell your mother I'm sorry, but I had to go. And don't worry, I'll be back. With love, your grandfather. Saturday the 5th of October. The North Sea, in my cabin, on board the Unsinkable. Dear child, I have a very nice cabin. It has 2 portholes, one for Rue and one for me. So far, I have seen a lot of seagulls and a porpoise. Rue said she saw a sheep. Rue has not been a very good sailor. She says that dogs aren't supposed to go on boats. I told her that some boats always have a cat on board to kill rats. Rue said that anything a cat can do, a dog can do better, and that dogs are famous for being great sailors. She said that her grandfather was probably the captain of a ship, and that he probably killed hundreds of rats. He probably did, I said. This afternoon, Rue asked the captain if she could have a go at steering the ship. Dogs are great steerers of ships, she told him. He let her have a little go, and for half an hour we went round in circles. Rue said that dogs always steer ships in this way. The captain was worried about the ship hitting a rock, so he took over and we continued in a straight line towards the North Pole. I am giving these letters to some fishermen who are on their way back home to Aberdeen. They said they had seen some bad storms with waves as big as houses. I must finish this letter now, as they are getting ready to sail away. We'll write again soon. With love, your grandfather. Thursday, the 10th of October, on board the Unsinkable. Dear child, we have been at sea for almost a week now. Every day, Rue asks if we are there yet, and every day I have to say, not yet, but soon, very soon. It is a long way to the North Pole, and I need to keep her spirits up. The sea is such a big place. It seems to go on forever. We did see some land yesterday. The captain pointed out the Isles of Shetland, but he didn't stop. As he said, we had to make good time if we wanted to reach the North Pole before the bad weather. Of course, I never mentioned anything about the bad weather to Rue, as I thought it might upset her. She has been rather a nuisance, I'm afraid, and I begin to wonder whether it was such a good idea to bring her along in the first place. I thought she might be useful, pulling the trolley up the steep bits. Perhaps I should have brought a husky after all. Today, Rue announced that she had changed her mind about finding the last polar bears, and that she had decided to go home. She said that she had been mistaken, and it isn't snow that her particular breed are good on, it is sand. I said it was impossible to turn around and go back now, and that we just had to press on. Rue said that dogs are excellent swimmers and that she could swim back if she wanted to. I had to put her lead on and tie her to the mast, as I was frightened that she might just try it. She howled all afternoon until I untied her. Tonight, Rue insisted on sleeping in a hammock. I didn't think this was a very good idea, but she said that her grandfather had probably slept in one all the time he was at sea. I finally agreed, but I warned her not to stand up in the hammock. She ignored me completely and promptly fell out onto the floor. I wish she would sleep in her basket like a normal dog. She is now in my bed, which is very uncomfortable for me. The boat is going up and down, and I have spilt ink all over the sheets. Feeling a little poorly, your grandfather. Friday, the 11th of October, on board the Unthinkable. Dear child, what a horrible night. I don't think I slept a wink. Rue pulled all of the covers off me and wrapped herself in a ball at my feet. The boat was leaping around all night, and twice I ended up on the floor. I can't remember anything else, but when I woke this morning, I was in Rue's basket at the foot of the bed. The captain cooked a hearty breakfast of sausages, bacon, and eggs, but I couldn't eat a scrap. I felt so sick. I just had to sit there and watch Rue and the captain wolf down the lot. Rue, her mouth full of toast and marmalade, explained between bites how dogs never suffer from seasickness on account of them having 4 legs. Having 4 legs means you never wobble about, explained Rue, and she then went on to tell the captain the most ridiculous story about her grandfather, saying that he had been in a storm so bad that he had spent the whole voyage upside down, and that in the end he got quite used to it, and that he even preferred it to being the right way up. After that, she said, he had always had his dinner standing on his head. I don't object to Rue telling these tall stories, but I do object to her changing her mind. At breakfast, she told the captain that it had always been her ambition to see the North Pole, yet this afternoon she said that she couldn't care less about some stupid old pole, and she didn't want to see any polar bears either. She has been in a bad mood all day, and things are even worse now she has lost her red ball. She was playing run and catch by herself on the deck when it rolled overboard and was eaten by a passing shark. Very sleepy tonight. I have not had breakfast, lunch, or tea today. Will send this letter as soon as I can. Rue is in her basket, and I am going to bed. Rough seas tonight, and the ship is making groaning noises. Can't write any more, as I am so tired. Your grandfather. That was the first part of The Last Polar Bears by Harry Horse. I hope you enjoyed it. Read again soon.